So it's now been 24 hours since that name, Brian Kohberger, has started making the rounds. You guys have publicized it. Are the tips coming in about him?
I can say that the one fact I do know is they told me an hour into us releasing the name, we had over 400 people calling in. So we continue to ask for that. We continue to ask for more. Every tip, everybody that knew him is only going to help us.
Are these tips from here, from everywhere?
I don't know where they came from. If it's any indicative of this case, they've come from all over, the nation.
Okay. Your ask about the white Elantra, that came on December 7th or so. Where in the timeline, can you tell us, did Kohberger come onto the radar?
So that's all part of those pieces that we have to hold until we can release information with the, after he gets to Idaho and the release of that information. But we're bound to hold that.
But when you asked for public information about that Elantra, you said the occupants of that car may have critical information. It was plural. Was there a reason for that?
Well, it's part of our investigation. I said early on that we're not going to let any stone go unturned, and I meant that. And we're following up on everything, just like we're in this new phase now, and we're going to follow up to get to know who he is and everything about him that we can.
There are reports that the Elantra was followed across the country. Can you elaborate on that or speak to that, and also reports of DNA, his DNA at the murder scene?
All those facts are still sealed. They will come out. I know people are anxious for that, and we will have the answers to that, but in the time that we can give it. So I ask once again, just be patient. I know I've asked that a lot of times, but we are bound by the law now.
It's been reported, and we have sources who have told us that Kohberger asked, was anyone else arrested upon his arrest? Have you been able to gather information about when he was taken into custody?
All that information will come out as well. It's part of that investigation. It's part of that next step. So.
Okay. The car, the white Elantra, 2015, is it the car? And is the search over now for any more white Elantras?
We believe it is the car.
Okay. Is it in Pennsylvania then?
Yes.
Okay. And is it done being processed?
I don't know if it's done, but it will be processed.
Okay. As you know, I was over at Wazoo yesterday at Kohberger's apartment as the search warrant was being executed. A lot of evidence coming out of there. Can you talk about, what might be valuable?
I think every piece is valuable, and I don't even know what was collected at this point in time. And that's part of that further investigation that we're going to hold. But I know that the search warrant was served there.
We know that the murder weapon has not been found.
That's correct.
Is there suspicion that it could have been there?
We don't know. Like I said, we're collecting everything. We're doing our due diligence, and that's why we get these search warrants, so that everything is secured in the court, through the court system, and that we have the right to be where we're at.
You said in a local TV interview, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, that you're still waiting for forensics results to come back. When did they come back, and was that the missing link for Kohberger?
We're still waiting for stuff to come back. We're still looking at everything. We're still having things processed. And I couldn't verify that right now anyway. That's part of that sealed piece. But there's still items coming in from the lab.
From the murder scene?
Correct.
Okay, so the evidence we saw being gathered yesterday, that could take just as long.
That will be new information that we've collected, and we'll be processing that as well.
I asked you during the press conference yesterday about the house cleaning. I mean, you had said in your announcement that the house is going to be cleaned and turned back over to the management company. Mm-hmm. We watched those trucks come in, and then they pulled out of there real fast. Yeah. What happened?
Like we said, we got a phone call that it was through the court that we needed to stop and give a little bit more time, so we did that. So,
why was the decision made to release the house?
well, at that point in time, we were ready to start that process. And then the court, like I said, someone from the court asked us to stop that process, so we did. And we'll continue to do as we're asked there, and we'll start the cleanup as soon as we can again.
Why would the court want that process stopped? Or
You know, it could be many reasons. Could be for the defense counsel, could be that they just want to hold it for a little bit. But it was a decision from the court.
so it will remain under guard. Should we refer to it as an active crime scene?
It's still our crime scene at this point, so yeah, it'll still be under security.
Okay. I think because of this community, it's a small community, is a factor that a jury pool in this community would be harder to gather with more information out there.
And that is one of the reasons that I stated that we are holding everything close, and we're protecting the integrity of the case. We want unbiased individuals in this case. We want people to not know all the facts, so that if there's a jury selected from here, that we can get that pool.
How hard would that be? Tell us a bit about, Moscow and how tight, because everybody knows everybody.
You know, I'm not sure. You know, we've had cases here before where they've been able to get a jury pool, but that happens with Bill Thompson and his team. So that would be a great question to ask Bill.
Yeah, which we're hoping to get.
Yes.
Okay, throughout the past 7 weeks almost, all these internets, so we've had Hoodie Guy, we've had the Jacks under suspicion, we've had a professor under suspicion. Did you guys actively investigate these things, and how distracting was that?
We investigated every piece of this investigation. We looked at everybody that we believed was involved or not involved in any way, that knew our victims. So we were very active in that, and through that investigation, that's where we get to the point where we can rule. It's as important to rule people out as it is to keep them in the investigation. So as we gathered information that was led us to believe that they were no longer a part of that, we ruled them out.
The 911 call, can we have the release soon?
That will come as soon as Bill Thompson and his office feel that is available for the public.
When do you foresee the scene may never not be released? It's indefinite then. I mean, until a trial possibly.
I suppose that could happen. There will be decisions made by people that are probably higher up than me that will need to make those decisions, but I suppose that is a possibility.
Also, the house, the heat has had to stay on. I heard that it needs a new furnace, and I mean, who is footing the bill for keeping the heat on?
Honestly, I don't have an answer to that question. I don't know if it's through the management, property management, or if it's the owner or what, but someone is.
Okay. I noticed in your video the other day when you announced the cleaning, I mean, you had a slight smile. You seemed a lot lighter. Mm-hmm. How are you feeling?
Right now, a lot lighter. A lot of people speculated on my facial expressions and stuff. I'm genuinely a pretty upbeat, happy individual, so I smile naturally a lot. I know a lot of people read into that. There was nothing to that. It was just probably me doing it naturally.
But do you feel like a weight's been lifted off your shoulders now that a suspect is in custody?
There always is. There's always that weight of knowing that you have a person in custody, and I think that gives a great relief to your organization, gives a great relief to your community, and in this case, the state, the nation, and I think even the world.
There's a lot of criticism of the department throughout as you are holding so many details close to the vest. Yeah. Do you feel vindicated? Do you feel, I guess, any pride?
What I feel is we did our job and we did it right. And we said from the beginning we're going to protect the integrity of the case. We're going to continue to do it right. And we're not a prideful group. What we are is a group that we had a job to do. We did that, and we are happy that we did it the way we did it because of the outcome.
How hard was it to keep so many details close to the vest?
I think it's always hard. It's emotional at times. We want to give that information. We want to give the families some closure and give them information. We want to give our community, but it is so important to hold that information and keep it right where it was, so that when we made an arrest, and now as we continue further, there will be more information that we're going to hold till the end, because we want to get a conviction.
Have you personally talked to the families?
I have personally. It's been a while, but I have talked to them on the phone throughout the first couple weeks of this.
Okay, and can you tell us about those conversations? I mean,
What I wanted to reassure them is that we were going to do everything we could to bring justice for them, for our 4 victims, and for everybody that's involved, and we would try to answer any questions that we could through the process.
What do you have to say to the rest of America, to the rest of the world? I mean, after all the scrutiny that this department has been put through.
Yeah. I would challenge every police organization across the nation to know the importance, even with the pressures that are put on you, the importance of keeping the integrity of the case solid. It's your job. It's what we sign on to do. We sign on to make sure that we do it right, and I challenge other departments to do that.
Early on in the case, you have children who've gone through college. These could have been your children. I mean,
yes.
You've been quite emotional about this case. Do you still feel that same raw emotion? Do you feel like you're really fighting this for these young people?
I think we always feel the emotion. I'm a fairly emotional individual. If you've been around me and you get to know me, I am that way because I care, and I care a lot. And a lot of us want to give the right answers and do it right, but it is difficult at times.
So the difficulty, talk a bit about the counseling that's been needed in this department. I mean, even for you, you need some time off. I mean, you've been in this for weeks on end.
Yeah. We are building a family here. We started that years ago, and we want, you want to take care of your family. You want to make sure that they're healthy. So we have brought in counselors. I've talked to counselors. I have a great relationship with my wife, who I can, talk to about things, and we promote that. We want our officers to be healthy. We want our families to be healthy. We brought in counselors for the families as well, because we know that it's a solid base. The family becomes a solid base for an officer, and they're the support system, and we want that to be healthy.
So you're saying support for your officers' families?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is it about the case that, was it just the endless cycle of, needing to find things and get things and vet up these thousands of tips? What was it about the case that required counseling?
Well, I think there's a lot of things, It was 4 people murdered with the use of a knife. There's things that you don't forget when you go on any of these calls. And we don't want that to build over time. So we want to get them the help that they can get. We want to have a good, solid structure to help them at home, so that when they come back to work, they are ready to serve our community.
Okay.
About 4 minutes. Thanks.
Okay, we're going to wrap now, and tell me what now. We're entering a whole new year and a whole new phase.
Yes.
What now?
Now we get to know who this individual is. We're focused now on who he is. That's why we keep asking people, send us information. If you've known him, if you've dealt with him at any point in time, this is now where we become more laser focused on one thing, and we're going to find out as much information as we can, but we still need our community and people's help.
But just like the ask during the Elantra, is there anything specific that you're looking for about him that would help you build your case?
We are looking at everything, and I've said that from the beginning. we don't know what small tip may come in that somebody may think is totally irrelevant, but we go, that ties something together for us. And what we're asking is people to give us those pieces and let us work through those to see if that's exactly what we need to help further this case.
Thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.